and this is my presentation on my literature review titled Parental Influence on Child's Development. I chose this paper was because the obesity numbers on nutrition plans are not working. This paper aims at creating a better plan using old research. This presentation, I plan to identify the trend, to compare and contrast old research, to create and answer a research question, to identify limitations to my research, and to discuss recommendations for future readers and researchers alike. To formulate my research question, first I need to find the pattern, or gap, that was used in the old research. For the 3 articles I chose are made by the authors listed. To start, I selected Jung, Bolchach, and Guinness, who made a dairy study where parents filled out a questionnaire regarding whether or not they gave their children dairy and why. For the results, they found that most parents did not care about the reported nutrition value and labeled personal opinion and cost as reasons for not giving it to their children. This is useful because it helps to prove social theory as the backbone of this problem, and that a solution must include changing the parents' minds about what they think nutrition is. For my second article, I chose Russell and Worsley, who had parents fill out a questionnaire on what foods their children liked and what foods they haven't tried yet, and why. For the results, most parents chose taste and nutrition as the top factors for what food they gave their kids, and cost being the last. But the term nutritious was left ambiguous and could result in some slant or miscue in the data. This was helpful to see how the parents thought and to also make an inference about what they thought their definition of nutrition was. For my last article, I chose Slutter et al., who followed the LA school system and saw how the parents felt about an integrated meal program and if they would even follow one. They found that most families would take part in the program if offered. It was more likely to do so if it involved the family as a whole. It should also be noted, however, that most of the parents involved in this study were women. This was helpful because it showed the parents' opinions of programs and what would help to make it successful. But seeing that most of the parents involved were women, it was kind of skewed in that area. How this paper is different. Studies did a good job at determining specific variables that needed changing and showed some good results. However, they failed to make some key components that would have given them even better results, and after analyzing them all in comparison and contrast, those variables were brought to light. That being, focusing more on the family as a whole instead of teaching the children or the parents, but teaching the family what good nutrition is, and to also try to change their definition of nutrition. Instead of telling what food is healthy and not, telling them what is healthy could help make their own inferences as to what a better diet would be. By using these findings in conjunction, a better nutrition plan can be developed. Seeing after reading all these articles and comparing them, I noticed that the parents' influence seemed to be the key factor on the child's diet. That made me realize that the research question should be, how do parents influence their good diet growing up so important for development? Seeing that I do have an ambiguous term in my research question, being nutritious, I needed an outside peer-reviewed source to disambiguate this term. I chose the American Dietetic Association because it's very well known and is reputable or a valid source. They define nutritious as something that meets the recommended dietary food guidelines when it comes to consumption of nutrients like fats, sugars, and necessary vitamins. These guidelines can exactly be found on their website. For the backbone of my paper, I wanted to use the theoretical framework social theory, who is best defined by Louis Potvin in Bordeaux, who stated it as the individual, or in this case the children, are actors who are subjected to the structures of society and the social norms are told what to do. Seeing that the influence of the parents seemed to be the major problem, it only made sense that social theory is the theoretical framework involved. For my finding, after breaking down all the case studies, The best way to break the unhealthy trend is to formulate an integrated nutrition program that focuses on the family as a whole, and it helped change the parents' preconceived idea of nutrition. Coming into this paper, I knew that the parents played a heavy role on their child's influence, but I didn't realize the severity of the influence. The majority of the problem is not that people don't really know what healthy is or not, but they don't understand the definition. And that if we want to get any improvements in these nutrition programs that are coming out to light, that we need to focus on trying to change their preconceived idea. And that if we don't, then this same cycle is going to continue from generation to generation of parents telling their children what healthy is and their children and so forth. Implication of findings. To start, it was easy for me to find a lot of research articles, but the quantity was not the problem, it was the quality, and finding articles that worked well in conjunction with each other. Difficulty refining search. I used so many different sources from different areas of expertise, some using the parent's perception, whereas others used more close integrated nutrition programs to the children, that it was hard to find some that had data that was meaningful to each other and that I could correlate with as well as contrast. Also, there was a problem limit to results. Seeing that most of these studies took place using a case study, that there could have been some error due to the researchers or error due to taking down the data, which would have skewed it and slanted the data. And in that case, if I use that data that was slanted, it would mess up my own data that I used. My findings are supported by previous research. I just kind of took a different way and different uh, area around it, focusing on the parents' perception rather than what the parents thought of healthy. For the recommendation, for future readers, think what your definition of nutrition is, and if it closely relates to the American Dietetic Association's. Also, think about what your parents' definition of health is or nutrition, and if that closely relates to the Americans or other people's, and if not, maybe think of something else you could do to change. For future researchers, this literature review can be used as a guide to formulate your own program, seeing that the program discussed in this review are purely hypothetical. It might need some more work to become field worthy. This being, I just took other people's research and formulated what I think would work, but I actually have no idea of knowing that this would work in real life or not. And seeing after maybe some more trials and fieldwork study, a better plan could be brought to light. These were the references I used for my presentation. Thank you